When will news writers stop saying, X, formerly known as Twitter? Compare how people behave towards another, vaguely similar case, of the artist formerly known as Prince who legally changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol. They kept it up until he had things change again, because no one could pronounce the symbol his name had become. In his case, it was to escape record labels who claimed they owned his name. Since X isn't enough to serve as a name, people are going to continue to use the name they know and recognize and know others know and recognize. I was listening to a podcast the other day and the host said someone tweeted on Threads and I didn't bat an eyelid. If they'd tweeted on X they still would have had to add the detail now. In the old days that would have been an ad for Twitter, now it's a reminder of their competition. They've lost control of one of the most recognizable brands in the world as a result of this. Tweet used to mean short message social post in the same way Google means to search and Kleenex means tissue. Not in foreseeable future, because we seriously cannot start to call Twitter X, just like we can't stop calling USA America. But not calling it X hurts them feelings and lacks integrity. It's like keep writing Turkey as Turkey and Netherlands as Holland in formal papers when both countries officially declared that those are not their official names even in English. So journalists will keep using two names side by side, one for easier identification and the other for formality, until the company up and fucking dies from piss poor management under the new regime. Tweet and Twitter were common everyday language for a decade. There is no way to undo that and have everyone start using a new name like it's normal. It takes time to build a brand. Most people in marketing know you don't try to rebrand something that embedded in modern language perception. But Elon is a narcissist. It had to get a new name to remind us all that he's running the show now. I hate that they even include that stuff on the news. I'm watching for information, I don't give a shit what Mother Louver 69 thinks. They just do that stuff to fill our time because there's absolutely no need for a 24 hours news network. For print media it seems like a lot of reaction articles for the sake of producing articles, people creating more work in order to justify their jobs in the first place. I don't think they will, nor should they. Literally nobody refers to it as X, so from a copy editing position, the only way to indicate what a writer is talking about is to include Twitter. And while I object to the dead naming of human people who have transitioned, my objection doesn't extend to shitty companies owned by megalomaniacal billionaires. Never, because X is a bad name. And I'm not just dunking on Elon. I'm not against dunking on Elon though, it's just a bad name for a product. The letter X is commonly used in place of a thing that is unknown or unidentified. The president posted, on X, sounds like the president posted on an unknown or hypothetical website. It's just a bad name. If when the aristocratic power struggles die down and Musk's grandiose everything app beats out Zuckerberg's metaverse to be the place where you live all your life, do all your transactions and give up your privacy to the system of which news writers are an integral part, until they get replaced by AI and one CIA guy based at Reuters. Elon owns it, he can call it whatever he wants to call it. Get over it, you bunch of soy addicts, smiley face, smiley face. You've lost your biggest echo chamber and now you've gotta let others you disagree with speak and can't just ban them and help interfere with elections anymore. You bluetards have lost and will lose in 2024. Go Trump, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Many news sources follow AP style, and AP currently recommends using X, formerly known as Twitter, on first reference. So, whenever AP decides it's fine as just X, but I personally expect some other change to happen before that, because calling it X is just awkward. And everyone still uses tweet etc. in anyway. Problem is that the website has been on a decline ever since Elon Musk took over it. The only time it'll just be known as X, instead of XFKA Twitter or just straight Twitter, is when it somehow manages to bounce back, and become more popular than it ever was. Which, let's be honest, is not happening anytime soon, when another site fully takes its place as the location where newsy people get post information and they can stop referring to it altogether. As it is, Threads has some traction but it isn't fully what Twitter was, and Blue Sky is much more like Twitter but doesn't have enough reach just yet. I have a genuine question. I don't use X Twitter and I honestly couldn't give a fuck less what happens to it, but if everyone know what would happen if Elon bought it, why is everyone directing 100 of anger towards Elon and not any towards the people that sold it to him? When someone buys it off Musk at a bargain basement price or he comes to his senses, and in either case it gets renamed back to Twitter. In the meantime I will continue calling it or pronounced shitter at the suggestion of some wise redditor. It's even called X, formerly Twitter, on its App Store page. Reporters strive for accuracy. Well, they're being accurate by calling it X, formerly Twitter. This is the first time I'd heard of X. I don't know why I would care about something called X when I've never heard a single person say they use X. They use Twitter. Just like the artist formerly known as Prince. It's part of the name now. How much longer is it gonna be X? I haven't updated the app in 6 months because I'm just waiting for it to revert. We were told Meta owns the X trademark and Twitter would quickly be made to revert its name in court. But it's been 6 months, hopefully until he changes it back to Twitter. X is a horrible name, but his blue check racist sycophants keep telling him otherwise. Elon wrecked one of the best social networks on the planet. A monumentally dumb thing, probably after the company completely fails, is bought by someone with half a brain cell for a tiny fraction of what Musk paid, and is immediately renamed Twitter again as part of a rebrand. So, maybe next year sometime, they never will. I've also been wondering if there will come a time when people don't have to describe Angie as formerly Angie's List. That was another one I didn't get. They changed their brand to just a name, I suspect because nobody remembers that X is a thing. Amusingly, I wonder if they just switched to calling it X if people would outright tune it out and it would result in even more user losses. Maybe when their own emails to users stop saying they're from X, formerly Twitter. Also, maybe when the letter X in terms of internet usage stops being associated with sex. So, never, basically, I copy edit online text for publications. Some of them have stopped saying it already. It'll depend on each writer, and whether they think that single letter is confusing based on the words around it. After the name X starts to pick up. For my friends, they now call it X-1 who always refers to it as Twitter. I usually say X, but some people get pissed when I use the new name over the old. Everybody keeps calling it Twitter. Only Musk is calling it X. I guess they must call it via the official name, but at the same time, they need their readers to understand what they're talking about. Around the same amount of time it took us to give up saying the artist formerly known as Prince. How many years before we finally started just calling him Prince again? I'm too stoned to math. I wonder if they have to use the stupid name at all. Like, is there some legal thing that requires them to call it by its current name? Could they just continue to call it Twitter until Elmo explodes? Probably for as long as they keep the ridiculous name, if you can even call it that. My guess is that Elon eventually sells it for relative peanuts, and the new owners change it back to Twitter. If they said X, I'd be like, what? Is that an algebraic variable? The punk band? The letter of the alphabet? Where the treasure is located? A planet? Mean fucking Twitter. Hopefully never. Keep reminding everyone that that brain-dead cunt sabotaged a hugely successful company simply by trying to create it in his own image. Turns out that image is pure shite. Never. They had some of the best branding in the world, a thing you can't pay for. When your website becomes a non-ironic verb in society, you've won. And Elon decided to try to bury that. Ugh. I hate how sites will embed tweets, and now there is just a big X in the top right corner. I keep clicking it to close the ad and being taken to the X, formerly known as Twitter site. Never. The Princess of Wales is still called Kate Middleton, whatever the rest of the headline is. She's been HRH, the Duchess of Cambridge for a decade, and now the Princess of Wales. I wish everyone would just move on from it. News sites need to stop posting to it, and products need to stop using it to pass information. I already refuse to click on any of its links. Twitter is some of the most permanent, valuable, and socially ingrained branding of all time. Trying to rebrand it as anything else is like trying to paint over a billboard with milk. It won't ever be X because he can't buy. All single-letter domain names are reserved. Maybe they can do a la. Journalist here. We use it because it's what the AP says, but really it's so that our reader knows what the heck we're talking about. Unless the AP changes it, we're not going to. I really don't understand why people don't just refuse to call it X, call it Twitter. It is and always has been Twitter. It's not X at this point as the logo. When Musk stops being a stupid man-child and sell the site to a new owner for a quarter of what he paid for it, and we can get the regular, less dogshit version of Twitter back. Never. It's the only way to accurately identify the site. Just saying X isn't descriptive enough. Which is why everyone said it was such a stupid fucking idea to begin with. Well, for one thing, Twitter can't be part of the URL. And even then, we'll still redirect in all likelihood. And people will still call them tweets. I think they legally have to. Elon likes to drop thermonuclear slap lawsuits anytime anyone points out his bullshit. Yeah, Twitter was as recognizable as a brand could possibly be. Which is why news orgs have to describe it that way. Changing the name of Twitter was peak stupidity, if you ask me. I'm 98% sure there's this unspoken agreement among editors to subtly troll Musk this way, and it's beautiful. I hope they keep on doing it. How long did it take to stop saying the artist formerly known as Parents? Personally, if they're out there dead naming trans people, I'm a dead name Twitter forever. People constantly talking about the stupid name change which it was, but also not realizing that them constantly talking about it is exactly why Musk changed it. Smiley face. I have yet to hear anyone not call it Twitter. I don't use it much, but in conversation, it's still Twitter because X is the dumbest name for just about anything. Probably never. Twitter is too recognizable compared to X, and the site will probably die before X can, if even possible, become comparably recognizable. It's Twitter, or MZBZitter. Either way, it's not just going to be X. He picked a stupid name, and the brand identity is just never going to take off. I am seeing a good number of people just going back to calling it Twitter. So I think that's more likely than calling X without any other clarification. The name was literally the only thing that didn't need changing. They needed a pivot, but I don't think changing to something fucked fixed anything. They shouldn't ever. So many porn sites get referred by the letter X. Better question, when will Musk realize that he named his site out of porn? X is a crappy name. No one hears X and has brand identification. So if a news writer wants to identify the brand, they need more than just X.